Hold on. Here we go. Here we
Aha,
go.
there we
Thank you. So
go.
apologies, everybody. Harry, if you could please start again, that would be great. Thank you so much. Over to
Hey,
you.
I'll know this by heart by the end of the evening. Thank you very much. And again, let me thank everybody for being here. It's lovely that you're here, and I do appreciate the support. And for poetry, yeah, we don't need sunshine, we don't need a lovely evening, but it is a lovely evening, and poetry, I hope, will help to make it even better. Um, the purpose of my reading tonight is to introduce my new book, my 11th collection. I don't know if you can see it. It's probably back to front there. It's called Mindforest. Um, Wendy Woodward has her own book called Threshold, published at the same time by the same publisher, Quilled Ink Press. And I hope you will go into their website and have a look for both books and see if you'd like to purchase one of them. I can't speak for Wendy, but mine is also available on an audio book. It's available on what's that Kindle. It's on Kindle and things like that. So just go and have a look and see what you think. Anyway, I'm going to be reading from this book tonight. Um, and then I'll be finishing, if I may, if I have time, with an important poem for my brother who died recently. But this book, Mind Forest, is dedicated to my brother David. Um, he died on the 5th of April, and he was buried last Friday in a lovely natural burial in the northeast of England. But the dedication reads, "For my brother David Robert Owen, always there for me." Because Dave always was there for me. He was my younger brother, but in many ways he was my role model. And I want to remember him and finish, if I may, later with a poem for him that is not in the book, but I just want to read it. Um, so the background is I visited UK recently before Dave passed away, um, and was lucky to be able to see him for a couple of weeks and to say what needed to be said and to he was able, I think, to say some things, and it was a loving, friendly, happy time. I'm happy that it happened. But this book actually started not as Mind Forest, but as an idea, a manuscript called, how can I forget it? It was called To the Foothills, and it was part of the PhD that I did at the University of Pretoria. I had to produce a full manuscript, poetry manuscript, as part of that. And the idea of the argument of the thesis and everything else was that I'm arguing that the language that we use all the time now tends to be a corporate language, a capitalist language. And I see it as the default. We always fall back on it. We know what certain words mean, or we think we do. Words, for example, like wealth and success and profit and growth, um, ambition, even another one. But I always think that maybe what we're doing is driving ourselves into a world that is so dominated by those ideas that we can't see a better one. And for me, a better one, a better language, a better discourse, a better default discourse for us would be one inspired by the natural world. This is the poem called To the Foothills, and I wrote it after having walked in the Banhook Conservancy, which is a beautiful place for walking very close to where I live. To the Foothills. You're composing a topography of yourself, terrain of lift and soar, of landscape and birdsong, mellow as an eager conception, rich with the patois of new life. Your poems are the slow uplift of sustainable growth, ripening, blooming, and youthful, swelling into cloud. These streams are drying out, bleeding into summer, and you know they'll be missed. But this is investment in other years, in souls. No venture subsidy, not the currency of dead and dying worlds, but your patronage of nurture, nature, your vital thunder, seismic, tectonic. Your broad green shoulders slope into upthrust, to troposphere, sponsor an affluent sky. So that's what the collection was originally going to be called, To the Foothills. Um, but now it isn't. I'll explain how the new title came about perhaps in a few minutes. Do we actually know who we are? Do we actually know anything about ourselves? I hope we do. This little poem begins the book. It's called Blessing. Are you doing with your life what you want to do or what you think you ought to do? Seeing the difference is wisdom. Finding they're the same is blessing. You'll find lots of references to money and wealth and so on. And in this poem, it happens as well. Investment. This is hardly a path anymore. Deep inside the conservancy, just the faintest of tendencies, jungled grasses taller than we are, whipping each impertinent face. Yet here is growth, sustainable growth, despite its juiceless depression. Always it will happen, wherever we walk, whatever we say, although there's no profit in it at all. And in the same place, the same conservancy, it's right next to a farm. In fact, it's actually part of the farm. It's a vast area underneath the mountains. And some people actually think of it still as the farm. The farm is called Bethlehem Farm. This is called Paganini at Banhook. This is my grandson, proudly pointing to the pushchair. I walk with him every day on the farm. He's feeding language to a sleeping child, helping the infant learn. Voices, purple, yellow, green, spring from the earth, intoned by sun and sky. Birds, breeze, and buzz are dialects of the same tongue, variations on theme, melody, air. And here is water, its fragrant skipping music chattering down the hillside like a rhapsody of laughing children. And this, I suppose, says perhaps more exactly what I mean by discourse. Crafting the discourse. Let me be fluent in the language of fresh water. May my rhythm flow, intonation dance, words glint with a grammar of morning sunlight, whose liquid conversation floods the world with torrents of sound and meaning. May I be a tributary creek, refreshment, sip, song, cascading phrase, a word, a lyric essay. May streams of syntax pass the studious mountainside with scholarly fields, articulate stones. Yet, yes, let me be fluent in the lexicon of clear water, language of a thirsty earth.
I like that.
Oh, thank you very much. Now, I said I would explain or try to explain the change in title. About a year or so ago, maybe a bit longer now, I was invited by two people who've become very good friends of mine, filmmakers, called Michael Raimondo and Justine Dutoy, who produce videos, wonderful videos. I recommend them highly if you find them on YouTube, called Reflections of Life. I've done 2 videos with them. But the second one, I was invited by Michael to visit a fragment of forest, a remnant of indigenous forest. In fact, it's the most southern remnant of forest on the African continent. And we went to this place, and there was no phone connection, there was no electricity, just a hut, a very nice hut, in the middle of the trees, in the middle of the forest. And as part of that occasion, I walked out. I was there for 2 or 3 days. I walked out into the middle of the forest, and there was a huge old tree. It's a milkwood tree, and it is reputed to be 1,000 years old. Wonderful old tree. And I was able to sit with this tree for half an hour, 45 minutes, just the two of us. And we had a conversation. I didn't speak, but my conversation was thought. But I felt that the tree was giving me advice. And it's because of this experience in the forest that Mindforest came to me as a title for the collection. But the poem is called Forest Bathing. Now, I don't know if you know what forest bathing is. I didn't. Michael again recommended this to me as an idea. It's a Japanese stress relief where it's called Shinrin-yoku. And when you're feeling under pressure, you go out into the forest and you just spend time there, bathe in the forest. So this poem is called Forest Bathing, Advice from an Ancient Milkwood. It would be handy if I found the right page, wouldn't it? Here we go. Forest Bathing, Advice from an Ancient Milkwood. Put down some roots. Be anchored in this soil. Wait for the mosses to find you. Be still. Reach out in every direction, high and low, above and below ground. Whatever springs up around you is fortune. It will come and go, keep you company for a while and disappear. But you, or the memory of you, will remain. You are wrinkled now, slow and gnarled, and some will find you ugly. You are not. Presence in the earth is never ugly. Be a healer. Move through the forest with your generations, regenerations, and laugh in the face of the chainsaw. Cherish the spiders, ants, snails, even if you don't enjoy them. They too are living. Be an ecosystem. Invite life in. Spread your green kindness. 10 milkwood centuries make up this moment. Slow down. Your years are not mine. Progress doesn't have to be a race, and hurried changes are seldom rich. Growth is, though, and renewal, even if they must take another 1,000 years. So be calm now, my friend. Rest here in my company. So that's where Mindforest came from. We haven't got technical problems, but okay. I'm sure that I know there are poets here, and you will know, I think you'll recognize something of this. You know, when you read a poem that was originally written in another language and you read a translation of it, is it the same poem? Or does the translation somehow change things? Does it become a version of the original poem rather than the poem itself? I don't know. I don't know. But this poem is called A Version. This is a thesis that no one will read, which is fine, for such is the fate of theses. Offer a voice to nature? Futile. A gesture whose hubris is prodigious, offering a tongue to one who already sings 1,000,000 voices, meaning one. Teach me, please, to distinguish between consequence and the merely expedient. I'm lost, and this language doesn't guide me. Translation was ever a mean version, never quite the same poem, yet trudging muddy trails to unearth whatever might emerge. Share then your parlance, your acumen with me. Though clumsily naive, I know this is good, for it presupposes nothing more true than empty-bellied craving, broad distance from unwholesome worlds of avarice, ambition, promotion, disputation, from chattels, assets, cold and heartless words, from here. Permit me thus to translate you, my new version, to read between your lines. Excuse me, I must just have a sip of this. I've been called, would you believe it? I've been called a Luddite. I see Jacques having an ecstasy there. He thought of being a Luddite. Yeah. And in some ways, I mean, you could see I struggle with technological stuff like everybody else, and I'm not the biggest fan of the world and its discourse at the moment. But I don't think I'm a Luddite. Actually, I'm on Zoom now. Am I on Zoom? I think I am. Now, how can I be a Luddite if I'm on Zoom? I don't know.
Um,
But I love the fact that there are so many things that are wonderful in what so many people call the real world. And yet, do we forget what else there is? Chrissy and I used to have a place on the Wild Coast, about 40 kilometers beyond East London, at a place called Cinsa East. And it was on the dune, just overlooking the dune forest and the beach and then the Indian Ocean. It was a wonderful, beautiful, glorious place. I used to sit in there sometimes and just let the world go on around me. But we used to go a lot at Christmas. And this poem was written about one Christmas visit. It's called FaceTime at Christmas. Here's the miracle of living right now. On your iPad, you chat with family, friends, instantly face to face across half a globe. Their seasons icily congealed from your summer day, these weaver birds, the sea. Isn't this, they all ask, progress? Of course. Don't wear your thinking cap, more a deflection of thinking cap, more a lid. Take it off, let your head breathe, sink into dune forest. A chestnut-eyed fly, bronze-bodied, cruises the tabletop, grazing like a rhino. A gecko, sprinting, solidifies to a hinge down the kitchen window. Swifts, swallows are dark streaks kissing the eastern sky above a rising hiss of nighttime bugs. And now, vanishing, we wait for the bats. All these, like FaceTime, are marvels. Living then, living now, living when. Touch the air, touch the screen, and wonder. That sound like a Luddite? I don't know. Maybe I am.
Mm.
The next poem I wrote many years ago, when I was living in England, in UK. When I decided to put this in the collection, I thought, well, is it appropriate? Because it's written, there are several poems written in the UK, by the way. This is just one of them. And I was a teacher, so I was part of this plod, this wave, making a living, making a living, making a living. And I used to see sometimes people, very often young people, looking at the world differently. And I used to envy them. I still envy them. The poem is called Letter of Resignation. We knew she wouldn't last. They rarely do, these temps, these incidentals, fly-by-nights. She laughed a lot, and certainly she threw herself into the job and knew her rights. But steady? No, she couldn't make that claim. No long-term prospects, pensions, and that sort could tempt her. She'll regret it all the same. Our wages will be constant, houses bought. So blot her from the foreground of your day. Wipe off her smudge and polish to a shine our gleaming plate glass brilliance. Don't delay. Assure yourself that everything is fine. Then breathe the resignation of the damned and thank your lucky stars that we're employed. We keep our heads down, bury them in sand. We chirp the motto of the homespun world. Avoid. Avoid your heart, avoid your instincts. Go to where no daylight glows. Immerse your soul in fortunes that you never chose and show your bosses how you plod towards their goal. She's mad, of course. Her contract now complete, she's off to climb a mountain, swim in seas impregnated with turquoise and replete with hope, adventure, the antipodes. Her lunacy's a truth that we prefer to wrap in silver paper, hide away. Intending to retrieve it, we defer this moment's freedom to another day. Forget, forget, and yet, between the lines of Word 2000, there between the raindrops on the pane, in aisles between bleak shelves of sameness, on bare pages of grey mornings, afternoons, she smiles. That's a letter of resignation.
Right, okay.
But I tell you, I do get angry. I do get angry. This is an angry poem coming up now. A very angry poem. And it's inspired by what I see as the real world, the world that everybody assumes is what just is, and we accept it, or the damage it's doing to the natural world, which the natural world is for me the real world, not the one that we've invented. It's always been there. The poem is called Scene of Crime, a Fulmination. Can't bear the thought of it. Can't stand the taste of oil spills, wildfires, putrid air, plastic filth like some gross diarrhea of the soul, sputum we're hawking out into our blue planet, sewage, cesspit of the solar system. Not in the mood for this rancid, dead world of toxins, torture, lies, and massacre. Don't have the bowels for it. Don't have the guts. Yet we keep peeling the flesh of misery, of greed, of guilt. This brazen violation of earth, whose joys our children have every right to breathe, to love, to know. Licking the corpse of poisoned tundra, storms and tsunamis, drought and famine, pestilence, pandemic, the hideous thirst for power, control. Sick of the stench of it all, my stomach turns. Bring back, I beg you, the soft grey mongoose. Fetch me the olive thrush, lory, flatties, fruit bats, laughing doves, lizards, puff adder, gymnogene, purring African scops owl, dassie, duiker, nightjar, tree aloe, fig and coral, sunbird and hadida, rain and sunshine, heat and chill, the very wealth of the wild no oligarchs can ever buy.
Wow, yes, super.
I'm sorry, it's a bit nasty, I suppose, but I feel that way, and sometimes I do get angry. The next one also inspired by something like that. A few years ago, it happens a lot, of course, in the Western Cape, but a few years ago, there was a huge fire on Table Mountain that actually came down into the city and started burning, even I think part of UWC, or not UWC, UCT. Very, very great damage. And it was a horrible time. And that's what inspired this particular poem. It's called Incendiary. Luckily, we announce, our cosmic self-assurance rekindling the news like some vast perdition. There was no loss of life. Cape Town blazes, its mountain and felt for many miles around exploding in an apocalypse of infernal smoke, ash, flame, and cinders. But no loss of life. Human life, we mean, of course, as if this were the only kind there is, the only kind worth mentioning. No loss, then, no loss. But pause now, consider. No living beings incinerated. No blameless victims blistering in the scrub. No animals, plants, no wild creatures. Imagine, no loss of life. We've always had dogs. I love dogs. We've always had big dogs until very recently, and now we've got two almost invisibly small dogs. One of them a real yapper, and the other one who looks like a bat-eared fox, but I don't hold that against them. They're nice dogs. But the dog in this little poem was a big dog, with part Boerboel, but his name was Billy. Lovely dog, very soft, very gentle dog, but big and intimidating looking. This poem was written in 2016, exactly 10 years ago this month. It's called Insanity. The only sane one in the place tonight is Billy the dog. This afternoon, he was happily eating donkey shit. Yet he is the sane one, and we are mad. No question about it. Quite mad. That's Billy. I miss Billy. So what should we have, in my opinion? I think we should have this. The poem is called What We Should Have. A world run by rhinos, or dogs, or elephants. A world based on heart and head, not intellect alone. A world without guns. Swords into plowshares is the injunction. But I'd like to see guns into cameras. Shoot all you want, but take only the image, never the life. and have the decency, the modesty, the essential humanity to learn of peace from rhinos, loyalty from dogs, intelligence from elephants, and the meaning of love from all of them. Nearly finished. The next poem is called a word I think I invented. I might be wrong. It's called squelp. S-Q-U-E-L-P. Squelp. I love the sound of it.
U-E-L-P.
There's somebody spelling there. Yeah. And it was written in, I think I was looking at some instructions for entering a poetry competition or something or other, or a reading, something, an open mic. And anyway, it's called Squelp.
Sounds nice.
Structure, they say, doesn't matter. It's not all about form and style, language and craft, but must also have relevance, amorphous weight, and tackle the urgent issues. So our focus this year is on poetry of the spoken voice, words to advance social change. Words in a poiky then, a stew. I think of the caterpillar pupating, clinging to my wall, hardening into chrysalis. Its living squelp, cocooned as simmer, incubation, change in form, in shape, vernacular. Its murmur waiting to emerge at last as butterfly, as poetry. And finally, the last poem before, if I may, I read the poem for my brother. I haven't even looked at the watch, so I don't know whether I'm going over time or not. Forgive me if I am, but I would like to read these two poems, if I may. This one is called The Bottom Line. And of course, it has something to do again with the language of corporate concerns, of capital and all the rest of it. But again, it was written in the Conservancy, just near where I live in Kylemore. And I was watching cyclists. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The bottom line. Observe cyclists swarming like frenzied insects along the Conservancy's ambiguous pathways. They are mad, of course, but at least theirs is the sane madness of sunny days. Here, now, is everything we must proclaim, is what we care about, what truly counts. No matter how many bleak denizens of the real world disparage us. We sense that this, our breath in bright winter sunshine, is heaven's welcome, all the yield there is. These moments, these futures for our children, multiply, swell, while capital, equity, revenue, the sick bottom line, collapse, swallowed up in the blue-iced caverns reserved for all such treacheries. Yet in dreaming wild, on a rock, by a stream, the quick profits surge. Okay, that's the stuff from the book. Can I read the one for my brother?
Please.
It's okay. Everybody looks absolutely stunned. I hope I haven't sent you to sleep. So,
Can you see us all?
well, I can't see you all because some of you haven't got your videos on, but the ones I can see, maybe the other ones are just not here. They're just pretending to be here. I don't know. But it's great. There's Liz True again. Thank you, Liz, again. And everybody, Carmo, great to, oh, it's lovely to see people. Let me get this poem. I think I did mention to you, Dave, my brother, died, and he was a big, big influence on me. He's my younger brother by 20 months, but he was always, always a supporter. He's one of my biggest fans, and I don't know why, because a lot of my life I was just useless. I may still be useless from all I know, but he was always a fan, always promoting me, always pushing me in the right direction, always there to talk to, always there to listen without criticism at all. He was just there. And so when I dedicated the book to my brother, David Robert Owen, always there for me, I meant it. I wrote this poem late last year, and I was lucky because I was able to go and see Dave. We actually had a family reunion in Spain towards the end of the year. I think about the middle of November this was. And I took this poem and I'm really pleased that I was able to read it to him. A bit of background. We grew up in Kirby, just outside Liverpool. Very rough, urban environment, very working class, um, with loving parents, provided us with books, which was a wonderful thing. Not everybody had books. But my father, when I was 8, suddenly found religion, and the religion he found was that of Jehovah's Witnesses. And from that point onward, his whole family had to pursue the things that he was taught and he believed in so wholeheartedly. And it was hard. It was hard. I was the eldest, so I was supposed to set a good example to my 2 brothers and my sister. And I don't think I was up to it really. I did my best. But Dave was the first one to move away. He was the one who questioned. He was the one, like my father, who really wanted to know what it was all about. He didn't want to just accept what he was told. And he taught me that very early on. This poem, we used to go to meetings, and at all of the meetings, services, if you like, everybody was addressed as brother or sister. So I was Brother Harold Jr., because my father was Harold as well. My brother Dave was Brother David Owen. And that word brother was a part of our upbringing. I think you will know the song that I borrowed part of the title for this. It's called He Ain't Heavy, for Dave. What is that word exactly? A term thrown about like confetti at service meetings, ministry school, on the mags. A title, a handshake, a rolled up trouser leg. A nothing. Cliquish, a cult, mindless acceptance of the words of a book, a story told to children, Janet and John, Winnie the Pooh, divinity. Brother David Owen? None of these, and all of them. His is a stepping away from sharp dogma, refusal to be conned by one truth, the courage to say openly, no more. His is space on an office bookshelf for the scripture we grew up on, space between Grimm's fairy tales and Alice in Wonderland. Integrity, respect. Brother David. He was somewhere for this shiftless one, at Deal Street, to imagine a life, a prospect richer than conformity to God, society, and boredom. Or at his Reading University of football, cybernetics, Brussels sprouts, an open door to E. Cummings, Fulbright, and the top of the world. Brother David. He was and is a leader, a head, a heart, a father's son, but ever himself. Teacher, learner, a man of a better world than this. Here, now, in the present tense, one to walk at another's side, to be there, to stand, to know that questions are all we are, and this is exactly as it should be. David, my brother David. He's laughing across an Exmoor stream as rain threatens, swinging by a rope and showing the way to a future worth living. A day, a year, a lifetime. He's up in the cockloft, turfing out the nonsense of our youth, saluting nonetheless true decency, the love that underpinned it, and moving on. David, brother David. So what is this fawny word? More, much more than some tame epithet, but substance, foothold, foundation, hub, weight-bearer, fulcrum, buttress, plinth, whose imperfections only strengthen him. Kintsugi brushed with silvered lacquer, philosopher of wabi-sabi, and all the beauty of wounded strength. A brother, a real one. Say it loud. David, Dave, now we provision you, and you ain't heavy. You're our brother. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harry. Thank you so much. We're gonna have a few moments now for Q&A. Jacques, would you like to lead the Q&A?
No, can we have a hand for Harry first? I'm feeling all excited. Can we just have
Beautiful,
one
beautiful.
hand for Dave?
Yeah. I'm passing this over to Jacques because I got really teary-eyed for the last poem. It's really
Uh,
heartfelt. Beautiful, Harry, beautiful.
Can I say
And
thank you to you all for listening to that? I know it's a very personal thing and it may not appeal to everybody, but I'm very grateful to be allowed to read it on behalf of my brother. Thank you.
thank you so much. Jacques?
um, Harry, that was just a magical reading, and I suppose if I have a question, it's what I love about your poems. You know, the first time I heard you read, you were talking about the magical cat that would sit on your car or car next to your car in the parking lot. And so I always have an image of you as a poet of re-enchantment, and that's what your poems do, I think. So I guess yeah, I guess my question is a silly one, an obvious one, but what make on a bad day, what is the first place you go to remind you to laugh in the face of the chainsaw? You know, what helps you first to re-enchant the world? Is it going back into nature or going sort of back to poems that you love? Obviously, it's both, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but I have to say that for me, the whole notion of Shinrin-yoku, forest bathing, may sounded right to me. When I feel bad, and we all feel bad at times when things are tough, um, it's to nature that I go, or I try to. And it doesn't have to be into wilderness. It doesn't have to be into the middle of a forest. It can be into the garden. It can be in my case for a walk around the conservancy. Um, but it's just some quiet, some some peace. And the strange thing is that yeah, I like the quiet, the peaceful sound. But I'm also there's there's an old Neil Diamond song called um, "Beautiful Noise." I don't know if anybody's ever heard that.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
think
from
I've
way back, I think in the 1970s or something. And he was celebrating the excitement, the buzz of New York City when he was in his room in a presumably in a hotel or something, and these noises were coming up from the park and from the street and inspiring him. That sometimes makes me feel good as well. But much more often, I just want to be quiet. I'd like to be left alone for a while because I'm never alone. I don't feel I know it sounds a bit twee, but I feel as though I can converse with the natural world, and I feel it's conversing with me. So that's what I do. I can't give a better answer than that, Jacques. I'm sorry.
no, no, thank you. I think yeah, that's beautiful. I think I asked because I knew more or less what you were going to say, and I needed to hear that. So thank you.
Wonder would anybody else like to ask a question? I'll happily try to answer them.
Wanted to ask Harry, first of all, again, thank you so much. You know, you speak about crafting the schools, you know, and technology has brought us closer, yet it really doesn't account for that in-person magic. You know, so much can be misconstrued through text messages. Yet, as poets, we have to accept, especially, you know, those of us who publish, that the reader is going to take what they can from our
Yeah,
poetry, right?
yeah.
But I was just really wondering, with Mindforest, where would you like to direct the current discourse towards, you know? what is the trajectory that you want to set us on?
Well, I don't think I'm so naive as to think that we can just sort of throw aside
Hmm.
um, the corporate world. It's here. It's here to stay.
Hmm.
But for me, it's not the natural world. The natural world is something else. The corporate world is something we've invented, and we call it the natural world because it's for children growing up. It's the only thing very often, especially if they live in cities and urban environments. It's the only thing they know. Why would they think anything was different? Um, so what I would hope is that this little book or anything at all will just be another little push in the direction of not neglecting the natural world, just trying to remember that it's there and it's important. It's not just there and important, it's actually crucial to our survival, in my opinion, as a species. When the Amazon, for example, is wrecked and deforested and mining goes on in there, what wealth, medicinal wealth, scientific wealth, what wonders are there in there that we're just destroying? So we're destroying ourselves in destroying things like that. But it has to happen. No, the destruction doesn't have to happen. But the world we live in, I'm not going to change the world by a little book of poetry. What is it, 6, 7 billion people on the earth now? And maybe 3 people will read the book. I hope I'm not that naive. But let's hope it. I'd love to think it would just push somebody, even just one person,
Hmm.
into a better appreciation of the importance of the natural world for us. That's all.
Beautiful. And how has your time, the time that you spent in Makanda, crafted this in your mind and breathed this in your spirit, that this has become, the sort of prevailing theme through your work right now?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it because that place, that little city, Grahamstown, Makanda, um, has changed my life. Changed
Mm-hmm.
my life. Not just the city itself, but the province. The Eastern Cape is a magical place. And what I was allowed to find there, I've always liked the natural world. I've always written about it, always felt comfortable with it. But suddenly I was in a place. When I was first coming here, Chrissy, who's now my wife, she invited me to come and visit, and she said, "I hope you won't feel too bad about it. It's not like leafy Cheshire." And it wasn't like leafy Cheshire. Thank God for that. She said it's dry and it's brown and it's bristly oh, that was wonderful. I immediately felt at home there. And the 13 years that I lived there, just changed me, or rather, they didn't change what I believed in, but they gave me hope for the fact that things can be saved. There's stuff there that that we still have. We haven't wrecked it yet. Let's not wreck it. Let's find things there that inspire and I don't know. It was an education for me, but it was a spiritual awakening for me as well. So yeah, that's been a big influence on me. The last book, not this one, but the last book was called Thicket,
Mm.
Shades from the Eastern Cape, and it was a kind of celebration of the Eastern Cape. It's a magnificent place. I go back a lot, and I never regret it. The only problem with places like that, and Macanda's a good example of it now, is how when the wrong humans get in charge of it, they wreck it. That city, Macanda, Grahamstown, has been allowed to decay in a horrible way, and it doesn't deserve it. The province deserves a beautiful city there, and I hope they can find a way to bringing it back. Sorry, I'm waffling again.
No, no, no. Please, by all means, do. Love to hear it. Love to hear your perspective on it as well, and to hear how passionate you are, about the Eastern Cape is really because it is beautiful. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you drive 100 kilometers and you in different vegetation, and the terrain is just something else. It is gorgeous. A line that stood out for me from Blessing. And I don't know if I'm probably going to speak about this for the next week, 2, 3 weeks. Seeing the difference is wisdom. Finding they are the same is
It's a blessing.
blessing. And that takes me
Mhm.
back to what you said earlier about, yes, we live in this corporate world, that's currency based, and we understand that this thing is not the real world, but it's sold to us it's the real world, right? We understand the natural world is what it is. But it's accepting, I think that line stands out for me, pertaining to what you said earlier. Seeing the
Thank you.
difference is wisdom, finding they are the same is blessing. Because as much as we'd like to fight against the system, it is here and it is prevailing for now, but like all systems, it will find its end. But nature
Yeah.
will always prevail in the long run. And I love that theme coming through in your poetry all the time. That returning to understanding that returning to nature is returning to self. It's beautiful. Okay. Before I carry on, can, we need to take this conversation offline at this rate. But are there any other questions that anybody else would like to ask? Liz, Elizabeth? Oh, no, oh, I see there are two Liz's. Yeah. Anybody else have any
Yeah,
questions?
I just
Thank you
wanted
for reading. Oh, apologies. Yeah.
I just want to say to Harry that I think he's very lucky to be living in this beautiful Barnoak Valley.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that.
Liz lives there too, and
Great.
she's got a wonderful, wonderful place. Horses and mountains and fields and a river. It's yeah. How lucky
And
are
just
we? How
trying to
lucky.
keep it like that. That is the thing. Just trying very hard, keeping my little bit green. Mm.
May we all do that, Liz. I hope so. And thank you for your part in it.
Well, I love it.
Hi, Harry. I just have a comment, not necessarily a question. I really enjoyed your reading, especially the poem about your brother. It was very heartfelt, and I felt very fortunate that you shared that with us. Yeah, I think one of the things that stood out for me is the way you used a personification in your poetry and specifically about nature, the way you personify the old tree, the milk tree, the lizards that are always roaming around your poetry as well. I think that kind of brings everything down and like in terms of like removing ourselves from nature and building our own concrete jungles around it and making it more personal in that way and more relatable. You start to feel that sense that yes, nature is a part of us. So I really enjoyed that, and I think that was a really good tool to use. Yeah, and that's that. Yeah, thanks so much.
That's very kind of you to say those things. Thank you very much. Not only are we a part of nature, but nature is a part of us. So the two things go together. We're the same.
Thanks. 100%. I agree. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kamo. Liz, over to you. Liz too.
Um, Thank you very much. And thank you so much, Harry. Beautiful poems. Nature is all we have. I think, without it, we wouldn't exist. So keep on writing to us. A thing that struck me was you address us very immediately, very directly. Uh, are you conscious of that? Um,
I partly I think I'm conscious of it, but if it's true, it's because I feel that nature is addressing me directly. And really, I suppose what I'm trying to do is just echo that somehow. I hope it
yeah.
works.
Well, that's a wonderful gift you have, that you're in tune with nature like that. And it's very, very moving. Um, and the last poem about Dave, it's just so touching and very, very moving. But how wonderful that you were able to say that to him.
Yeah.
I mean, often we are not there when someone is going. And you
That is
must have been a
exactly right.
wonderful brother to him. You must have been a wonderful brother.
I
So,
think we were close. We were very close.
and
Yes.
and he's always with you, in memory, and
Mm.
he's
Mm.
there.
Mm. Thank you
So
for that.
thanks for the reading.
Thank you so much, Liz. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Chiara, you have a question?
Yes. Well, it's pronounced Kiara.
Kiara.
Um, so thank you so much, Harry, for a beautiful reading. I also am feeling like overwhelmingly grateful to hear
Kiara, okay, apologies for
so to hear your work is, yeah, it's a blessing, and you are a blessing as well. My question is in this way, like to personify nature, to make us aware. It's an awareness, it's activism. What kind of poets or poetry inspires you?
Oh. Have you got an hour or two, and I'll try
Oh, the short version. I
so
hope.
so much does, so much does. But if you're asking for just the names of a couple of poets, just picking them out of the air. Wendell Berry, an American poet. Sheena Pugh, who is a Welsh poet who lives in Shetland. Um, uh, but people here as well. In South Africa, there's so much, so much. I see. I think he's gone now. Andrew Renard was here. He writes beautifully about the natural world as well. And I'm looking at one again, Wendy Woodward, who's reading the other evening for Off the Wall. It was spectacular. And again, it's based largely in the natural world, and it's lovely. It's lovely. There are so many. You put me on the spot, and really, I should be able to immediately tell you half a dozen others, but I'm going to claim age and forgetfulness.
That's quite a list, I'm sure. I'll have a look at that. Thank you so much, Harry.
Welcome. Hey, I'm looking at another one. I've just noticed Audrey's down there as well. Audrey, I should have mentioned you too because you're another one. Oh,
Oh,
dearie me. Sorry about
thank you for
missing you out.
mentioning
And of
me.
course, Liz. I
Same.
can see Liz there as well. We're all here. Suddenly, I'm getting inspired.
yeah. It's always a beautiful evening when we have poetry and poets in on the Zoom. So thank you to all of you for being here. Are there any other questions before we wrap up the Q&A this evening?
Can I just finish off by saying then thank you to all of you. And I think you'll find in the chats, I hope in the chats, if you look at it, there will be a link to the Quilled Ink Press website. You can get the book in all sorts of formats through there directly from them. And I hope that very soon we'll be having a series of launches and so on. And look out for those and come along and join us if you can. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Harry. Harry Owen, everybody. What a wonderful reading. I'm so inspired. I've been feeling really down, but hearing your poetry has it's just lifted my heart. Thank
It's a huge
you
compliment.
so
Thank you.
much. Heartfelt, sincere, yet poetic devices just weaved all the way through. And read with such conviction. It's beautiful to be able to behold. We're going to take a quick break and then we will be back for an open mic. Those who want to stay. Oh no, it's had in my heart. It's like you, we'll chat about. I'm excited for the book. I cannot wait. I will definitely be getting my.
You're breaking up a little bit, but I think I should say thank you.
What's happening? As
Are you?
mentioned, I'm back, guys. I don't know what's happening. I'm gonna blame being old and not knowing technology. Um, yeah, open mic at 22. Please join us. Please bring a poem or two. And thank you to everybody who's participated. Harry, once again, thank you so much. Mindforest. And
Hey,
to get my
cheers.
hands on an actual copy. Thank you, everybody. See you all at 20. I've only got a cup for some coffee, but cheers. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Harry. See you all soon.